A kind day to you all, I'm Kinsmarck, and I'm continuing my coverage of the Rainbow Six Siege closed beta. I already checked into the training and one of the competitive modes. This time, I want to check into one of the cooperative modes, Terrorist Hunt, a classic for the series. So I have 3 difficulties, normal, hard, and realistic. I think I'll check normal for my first run. And while I wait on a matchmaker, I want to clarify some of my commentary in the previous episode, as I was actually kind of shaken up from the intensity of the recording of the actual action segment in the previous episode, and so I couldn't actually formulate my conclusionary thoughts very well, and so I want to clarify those now, especially where I was regarding some of the comparisons of Siege to previous Rainbow Six titles. I was primarily comparing it to some of the classic titles and not necessarily to the more recent Vegas titles, which were a little more multiplayer-centric. However, even compared to Vegas, this seems to have a somewhat more streamlined and action-oriented approach, especially with regard to its pacing. And speaking of pacing, it seems to take kind of a while to actually find a match. And I also want to commend Ubisoft for canceling the development of Rainbow Six Patriots, which some of you may not have the information, was in development for several years and was slated to actually end up a full campaigned Rainbow Six entry. And they released a couple of statements essentially clarifying that it just was not up to their standards and quality. And so they canned it and replaced it with a new project, presumably this one, which I think is actually an impressive move. I'm always impressed when developers are willing to make the statement that they simply are not... Whoa, what happened? Okay, I accidentally confirmed. Spetsnaz. AK-12. PMM, breach charge, frag grenade. Alright, confirm. Anyway, I was actually impressed with that, because especially where AAA publishers and developers are concerned, it's kind of a rarity for them to put quality over a paycheck, and yet that's what Ubisoft did. So whether or not this is necessarily an adequate replacement for whatever Patriots could have ended up, I can't say yet, because this is obviously still in an unfinished state. However, at least this version is adequate, if a little anemic, I suppose, in comparison to
eliminate the terrorist,
the aesthetic and the depth of previous Rainbow Six titles. And in all honesty, I was expecting a little more of the visuals. And I've heard some criticism of the mobility of Siege, as I've kind of compared with some of the commentary from others who've checked into the closed beta. And I can't really say I agree. Many people are calling this a little too quick in terms of, hi there, one's ability to move and to aim. Alright. That was my first rappel. And this already feels, especially compared to, oh hi, are you like a guy I should kill? Can't tell. It already feels a little sluggish, a little slow, which, in its aim for comparative realism, I approve of. And I think were it any more dramatically, increased, it would simply feel unentertainingly slow. Aha. So this is what that man who was... How do I, enter? Aha! Who killed me in the past episode was doing. Alright. I am missing all the action. Alright, here we are. Ah! So for those who aren't aware, what Terrorist Hunt is as a mode is a cooperative PvE mode in which one raids a compound filled with many AI enemies. And I can't tell whether that was an actual enemy or... Yep. Usually, one is in pursuit of some kind of objective. Refill. So refilling ammo takes a while! Hi! I am a fan of the dynamic destruction. So there's more of that razor wire. Whoa! You look like a stalker. Hi there. Caught you right in the face. Alright. Do I need to kill these mannequins, or are they simply there to startle me? Kill it anyway. So what exactly is our objective? I was concentrating on commentary, and so I kind of missed whatever it is I'm actually here for. Whoop. Oi! Alright. Anyone outside? There's another mannequin thing. I don't know. Whoa. That looks... Ow! Alright. I was wondering if that was a thing I needed to disarm. Apparently it's a thing that wanted to disarm me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Are you... I can't tell whether that's a thing I should shoot. I presume it's one of them searching around for an objective. I'm kinda lost. What is it I'm looking for? I know, I should have paid more attention in the preparation phase. And that's one of the things I've seen criticized as well, is that the preparation phase, and I myself noticed this, is very, very short. I should refill. And I can agree with that, however, as I mentioned in the previous episode as well, since one isn't micromanaging every action of an entire squad of cooperative AIs, that kind of length of preparation isn't necessarily needed, especially when one cultivates a sort of culture within game of active communication. Whoa, hi! Communication. Worst time to reload. Alright, so our objective was simply to kill all of the terroristas. Alright, so mission accomplished. I think I'll give it another go. Also, I haven't checked. Have I accrued any renown? I can't see whether I have or not. Alright, well. Well, it's... Aha, there we are! 90 renown gain. So actually, let me leave this and check into the operators tab, which I haven't checked into already, because I'm curious exactly how that works. Unlock new operator. Let's just start with a SWAT member. Let's see. How exactly does this work? It looks like there are multiple tiers, and for each side they have a unique model, which is kind of cool. And it seems like also separate loadouts. So I kind of like the look of this one, which means I unlock the attacker FBI SWAT character with 500 renown. Correct? Confirm? Operator is unlocked. So skip that. Thermite. I was kind of hoping for operators with names and kind of like characters, as though they were actual people, kind of like previous entries in the series. Because for those who aren't aware, previous entries in the Rainbow Six series actually had a fair amount of, I suppose, story involved in certain characters. Each one was named, and in some cases each one had an attached dossier regarding who they are, and some of which actually made reference to some of the source material that the original Rainbow Six was drawn from, Tom Clancy's novel. And I can admit, I'm a little disappointed to see that unless it's covered, which I highly doubt within the operator videos that we just saw the splash screen for, that any of that is covered. I was kind of hoping for a little more of that character and that charm that previous games had, that kind of made one attached to certain members of one's squads. I can recall replaying in an almost XCOM-esque fashion many missions with previous games so that some of my favorite operators didn't get killed. And this kind of lacks that. Again, it's an emphasis upon multiplayer as opposed to single player. I cannot emphasize that and what that requires of the system in terms of changes, which I can understand, if I can also lament, enough. I cannot emphasize that to a sufficient degree. I recognize it. I simply question at this stage whether this is an adequate set of changes to keep it a Rainbow Six title and not something else. It still has the Rainbow Six feel in terms of its action. It feels as though it is very much a maturation of classic Rainbow Six action. It's just the rest of it kind of feels a little hollow. And again, I can't say that as a definitive assessment of what the final version will end up like, because this is still in a closed beta state. It's not the finished version, and none of the single-player campaign, I can't say whether or not one will ever exist for it. I'll clarify whatever I can find regarding that in the captions. And if one does, I can only hope that it kind of makes up for the multiplayer aspect's lack of character and charm. Although, all of that said, I can hardly approve more of the action. It's methodical and lethal, as it ought, and so in that regard, one has to move carefully. One has to communicate, even though one can kind of, lone wolf it, and as I exemplified in that last round, several just individual people meandering or with rifles around a map can accomplish an objective. I can certainly see how the effectiveness is certainly multiplied if one were to actually cooperate and communicate and act as a squad. So I think at this stage, it's fair to say that Rainbow Six Siege has potential, and its core systems are already impressive. I simply wonder whether it will carry itself in terms of its ability to hook people and to charm them in the same way that previous entries in the series have. And I wonder as well whether the degree of character customization inherent even to some of the immediately preceding titles in the series, such as the Vegas titles, in which character customization was very well fleshed out. It was very detailed. There was a lot to it. And I can't really see that yet in this one. I can see where I can change some of the loadouts and... Oh, wait, hang on. Have I misspoken? So that's equipment loadout, alright, which is kind of a default. Let's see. Details and statistics. See, that's just player use of that character statistics. I would like to see, that character's military history, his name even, where he is from, and none of that is present. Again, it could rectify itself if this operator's video actually, fleshes some of that out. I'm simply not seeing that. Wait, hold on. Bio. Alright, so operator's name is covered. His name is Jordan Trace. Nickname is Thermite. Date of birth, March 14th, 1982. Place of birth, Plano, Texas. Height 1.78 meters. Weight 81.6 kilograms. Alright, so I rescind some of what I just said. However, that is a scant amount of information. Hopefully more will get fleshed in as the game receives development. Obviously, in the current state, this is not the focus. The focus is the core systems, and especially within the closed beta period, they're testing and straining the actual multiplayer connections and everything. So they're making sure the actual game aspect of it is working as intended. I worry that some of what I'm seeing is an indication of a lack of things to come, is all. I hope, as I've said of previous games, that I am wrong. I'm just a little nervous, is all. So, all of that said, I think, now that I've covered some of the core aspects of the game, that it's a safe place to cut off my pre-recorded coverage of this and move on to live streaming and check into things in a little more detail, because I want to stream this not only for the fact that, you know, I suspect it'll get some attention while it's in closed beta, because only, you know, a select few people have access to the closed beta, and so I want to provide as much early coverage of it as I can. I'm enjoying the action, so I want to check it out in a little more detail, and if there's enough information that I come across throughout my experience streaming it over the next few days, I may conduct a short conclusionary thoughts episode, perhaps over pre-recorded action footage. However, I suspect I've pretty much made whatever points I can at this stage. So, thank you all for watching. Yeah, I can definitely recite my own outro, as I have many times in the past. Thank you kindly for watching. I am Kinsmarck here at Last of Us, and as always, I wish you all good gaming, and Godspeed. Driver, once you're on the park, Charles, I swear, have you been hitting the eggnog again? I know it's not Christmas time, Charles. You've been lying to me. Again.